to this Bitesize Bio web seminar. Today we're going to be talking about writing, editing and presenting of Bitesize Bio, and today's presentation is by Bitesize Bio founder and owner, Nick Oswald. We will be taking questions at the end of the webinar today, so if you have any questions, just pop these into the questions box which you can see on your dashboard. Over to you, Nick.
Thanks, Laura, and hi everyone, thanks for joining us and for considering this diving into science writing, presenting and editing at Bitesize Bio. What I want to talk about today is just in 3 parts. It's not a tremendously long presentation, but hopefully it will be packed with useful information for you. We're going to first of all look at what Bitesize Bio does overall and what we're aiming to do here, and then about how you can fit into that. And then we'll look at the reasons why you might want to write for Bitesize Bio, how that's benefited other people in the past and how it could benefit you in the future. And then after that, we'll look at how you can get started with writing your first article and really getting involved in what we're doing here. What Bitesize Bio does. Bitesize Bio is what's from the perspective of this. This captures it in a nutshell. It's a place where the experience-based wisdom, advice, tips and insight from hundreds of bioscientists are pulled together for every bioscientist to access. So why would we want to do that? I guess as bioscientists that are working in the lab at the moment, you will know that. But we look at it from this perspective, that when you're parachuted into the lab after your theory-packed undergrad degree, you have a tremendous amount to learn, and there aren't a lot of resources that can teach you. In a lot of cases, there are no resources available to teach you those intricacies that you need to know. There's a lot of on-the-job learning, and really it can only be addressed by either you finding these things out by trial and error at the bench or beyond, or by you having a mentor who can help guide you through those things. So Bitesize Bio is aiming to plug that gap. One way that we look at Bitesize Bio is that it is kind of the missing manual. Whether it's you're looking to understand techniques or improve techniques, understand equipment, basic science, lab admin, lab relationships, that's with your supervisor or whoever in the lab, personal development, career development and things like that. All of those things are pieces of information that are hard to get, that are hard to find, or pieces of wisdom and know-how that are hard to get. And so we're looking to, on Bitesize Bio, to build that missing manual from the ground up. And the good news as a contributor means we're not looking for research. This is just a bit different. We're not looking at news, we're not looking at research, we're not looking at cutting edge. We're looking for anything that can help people around the PhD and postdoc level to get on and to become better in the lab. So that means that you do not need to be an expert. All you need to have is something that you can share that can help other people in the lab. So it may have been something that you just learned, or it may have been something that you've known for years and piled on top of hundreds of other things that you've known for years. But whether it's one thing or 100 things that you have to contribute to that kind of missing manual that will help all these people that come to Bitesize Bio to view it, then each contribution helps in that respect. Each contribution is valuable in that respect. The other way that we look at it is Bitesize Bio is kind of like a super mentor. If you remember, I mentioned earlier that, or one of the sort of tried and tested ways to get that knowledge that you need in the lab is to have a mentor by your side. That's the ideal scenario. But each mentor, even the best mentor, only has one set of experiences to share. On Bitesize Bio, we bring together hundreds of different mentors, and each can provide their own expertise and know-how to help thousands of scientists. So that's why we look at it from why we would call it a super mentor in some respects, because it's bringing to bear experience from lots and lots of different people. So far we've had, I think, around 150 authors contribute to Bitesize Bio, and hopefully we can pick up a few more today to help them. So an example of one thread in Bitesize Bio, one mentor, if you like, helping to build this sort of foundation of knowledge that can help people is what I did. The way that Bitesize Bio started out was when I was in the lab and I was working for a small biotech company running a little team doing molecular cloning. And we would get students in and I would teach them the tips and the tricks and all the bits and pieces to get this stuff to work. And I was saying the same thing over and over again. And at that time, blogging was just coming out, so I started just writing it in a blog. And that, all the little bits and pieces that I picked up, and I enjoyed writing them. And it was also very helpful because I could point my students in the direction of that way of Bitesize Bio as it was then, to read the article instead of me having to explain over and over again. One important thing to note about this is this stuff is really easy to write about because it's the stuff that you know inside out. And so it's very easy to it just runs off the tongue or the keyboard as you type it. And in a lot of ways, the stuff that you write for Bitesize Bio should be very easy to write because it should be the stuff that's closest to your heart, the tips that and the know-how that really works for you. And the trick, as I'll talk about later, is identifying that. Another way to look at writing is, as I did there, was that it's very beneficial to kind of explore the things that you don't know and the questions that you have and find answers to them and then write them down for people to help. An example of that was that I was using SDS Page all the time, but I didn't know how it worked. So I researched exactly how it worked, and then I wrote an article on it, which has been there for about 5 years and still being viewed every single day on Bitesize and helping people understand how SDS Page works. So it's two aspects. It's what you know and kind of what you don't know and the gaps that you can fill in your own knowledge there. I started off with this article here, this 5 DNA ligation tips. That's the first article that was ever written on Bitesize. And these are some of the ones that I wrote, just kind of a selection that goes across the sort of the range of things that we can talk about ethanol precipitation layers, how a technique works, down to RPM doesn't equal RCF. Is just a little bugbear that I had about things that I think that people didn't understand about a piece of equipment. Same with the pipetting errors one, how to write a thesis is a different tack, and then all the way down to 10 ways to use your doctor title for good and evil. I just want to emphasize that one because that's just a silly article that is a bit of fun, but it's important. Those are important as well because we want Bitesize Bio to be a place where bioscience can come and feel supported, but also kind of understood and a bit kind of feel a collegial atmosphere where we can kind of laugh about what goes on in the lab as well. It doesn't all have to be serious, and in a lot of ways that's the best way to helping people to laugh about what's going on is the best support we can give them in a way. So that's what I did. I ended up writing so far about 200 articles or something for Bitesize on everything that I could think about that I could get out that would help people. So the question for you is, why would you want to write for Bitesize Bio? Or that may be the question that you're asking at the moment. There are a lot of reasons to write for Bitesize. As I said, we've had about 150 authors come through the doors over the years, and they come in for a lot of different reasons. The first one really is, or the first two are kind of related. The first one is to get skills. Bitesize Bio is a different kind of writing from what you'll do anywhere else, really. And it's informal writing for the web, but it still has to be rigorous and fit within a different set of guidelines from what you're used to. In that respect, it's a kind of good sort of sandbox to learn writing for the web and stretch your writing skills and also get feedback from our editorial staff. We've got an excellent editorial staff that are very experienced in writing and editing articles for Bitesize Bio, and each of our writers get kind of personalized feedback from them on what they need to do to improve their articles and help them hone and improve their skills. So that's something you get out of the box when you write for Bitesize. Another reason that a lot of people contribute to Bitesize for is the idea that they're contributing to the missing manual, as I talked about, basically helping to build a toolbox for current and future bioscientists to improve their skill set. It's important to remember that, although I said there's 90,000 bioscientists per month reading the articles on Bitesize Bio at the moment, that continues every month and increases every month for the next year, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years even. Over that time, we're having a tremendous influence on bioscientists and on the acquisition of skills by bioscientists. So, each article that you contribute or anyone contributes to this community is helping to do that. We mentioned the audience, 90,000 bioscientists. It looks a bit like that. And that's important with regards to, how much influence you have or how much you can contribute to the world, if you like. It also has another important aspect, and that is in terms of what opportunities writing for Bitesize can provide for you. Over the years, many of our writers have gone on to use their coming as a staff writer or a casual writer on Bitesize Bio, and have used that to go on to jobs in publishing and elsewhere, or to get freelance gigs or to start their own business and stuff like that, and use the experience and knowledge that they got from Bitesize as a stepping stone to that. For myself, I was still writing Bitesize when I was in the lab and realized that I wanted to move out of the lab. And the fact that I had a portfolio of about 100 articles on Bitesize that I could show my sort of breadth of knowledge and my writing abilities and so on helped me to get a first job in the marketing in the publishing industry. There are other people that have gone on to developed through the kind of pipeline at Bitesize Bio to become staff members here at Bitesize Bio. There are all sorts of things that you can do. The people have also used this to launch their own blogs and so on. The aspect of the audience, that gives you a long reach, and that means that people can find you and also become interested in what it is that you have to say. In terms of the development of staff roles through Bitesize Bio, if you like, I like to call this rather grandiosely an organic self-selection process. So we have everyone on Bitesize Bio, more or less, everyone that works for Bitesize Bio, started off as making casual blog submissions to Bitesize Bio. And then they decide whether they like working with us, they want to keep contributing, and we're assessing people as we go along. Those people who want to select themselves, by putting in energy and skill and commitment to making casual blog submissions, we generally invite them to become staff writers. And those people, when they become staff writers, they commit to making a regular contribution. They've demonstrated their skill, energy and commitment, as I mentioned, and there's also a small fee payable for staff writers for each article. Once people are staff writers and they're into the groove and they're submitting for us and they're enjoying it, then all sorts of other opportunities can pop up. Now, we don't make this on a kind of routine basis, but these do come up, that we make opportunities for people to write eBooks or to present webinars or chair webinars. We get writing opportunities in, and we also have editorial roles come up, and those things are taken up by the people who are staff writers who want to go on further to get involved at that level. So if you look at that, then what we've got here is the people at the top end of the funnel, if you like, who are the casual submissions. If they want to go on further and we have availability, then they can become a staff writer. These guys, staff writers, contribute to us. If they want to go on further, then they can get involved in these opportunities here. And also, we're very open to people coming to us with other skills that we can bring to bear for Bitesize Bio. We're willing to talk about how that can work. So this is an ebook that we've just published this week, actually. This is the first one that we've published for sale. It's by Vicky Doronina, who's, again, came through that process. She started off as a casual contributor and has written this ebook and is doing various bits and pieces with us as well. And I believe she's presenting a webinar on Wednesday about this ebook. So that's just one example. There are lots of opportunities. There are people that have gone on to do all sorts of things from the platform that they've built for themselves within Bitesize Bio. So if that sounds good to you, sounds like something that you would like to be involved in, then let's have a quick look at how you can get started here. So what we're looking for in Bitesize Bio is, again, we're not looking for people to talk about the latest goings on in any field or in any research results or trials or anything like that. We're looking to go right back down to the basics, right down to the nuts and bolts that are needed to excel in the lab. Things like carrying out techniques, understanding techniques, surviving in the lab, you know the sorts of things, the problems that you encounter, the solutions that you found for them. If you can document them, they belong in Bitesize Bio. The important thing is, the trick in many ways, is to figure out what nuggets of wisdom you have to share with the community. Figure out that and then solidify that into an idea for an article that can fit the bill for Bitesize Bio. We do have some guides around that. That can help you with that. We have an editorial guide for Bitesize Bio writers, and let me just scoot over to it. So that is the link to it. Maybe Laura, you can type that into the chat so people can go to it. And I'll just jump over to it in a second. It's a document on our Google Docs that you can just navigate to. Inside here, we go through some of the stuff that I've talked about here, why Bitesize Bio exists, and how to figure out what you want to write in your next or first or next article. We take you through a series of questions that you can use to spark ideas for yourself in identifying the nugget that you want to share in effect. And then there's some guidelines on length and tone and so on, all that sort of thing that are needed. Format, level, we're looking at PhD students and postdocs, so you can go right down to the basics or a little bit up to kind of intermediate, but we're not looking for cutting edge, we're looking for fundamentals here and some practicalities of how the process will work. So that resource is available for you whenever you want to access it. You can look at that ahead of time and use it to craft your first article. characteristics of a Bitesize Bio article, this is quite a core thing to how Bitesize Bio works. First of all, actually should be this one. It should be bite-sized and to the point. The idea here is that scientists have enough to read, and what we want to do here is to not give them a ton of stuff to read, but just give them some very valuable things that they can consume to help them. The way that I look at it is that, we have articles coming out every day on Bitesize. The way that I look at this is that it should be something that's very easy to read when you're having your morning coffee. If you read that every day, if you read Bitesize Bio every day, it takes you 5 minutes a day, and over time you build up a tremendous bank of knowledge from doing that, all different viewpoints from people. So the first characteristic is that it should be bite-sized, obviously. The next one is that it's friendly, conversational, and informative. Again, people have enough dry text to read. We're not talking about writing a scientific journal with rigid prose. We're looking for people to just put a hand on someone's shoulder and say, this is how to do this. This is my advice. So that kind of feeds into this idea here where we're solving a problem or providing support in an article. We're not providing results. We're providing the means to get to those results. I should emphasize here that, again, we're talking about tools and techniques. That's tools and techniques to get to desired result, whether that be a technical result, a scientific result, or it be a career result or a lifestyle result. It should just be things that can help people in every aspect. And in fact, some of the most valuable stuff we have on Bitesize, I'll go through it in a second, are about helping people with the softer side of being a scientist, how to deal with life as a scientist, which, as you know, can sometimes be quite tough. Some inspiration here, a few articles that I've picked out of our archive that I just thought kind of deserve a mention because they do something a bit unusual. So here's one from Marissa here, and she's talking about the pros and cons of a postdoc in a foreign country. And that gets a tremendous amount of views, and I think that this one really helps people when they're considering whether to move or not. Back to a more technical article by Rebecca Turabasi, who's an associate editor with us now. This one is a very fundamental, simple it might seem, a simple aspect of running a gel and identifying what the bands mean when it's for a closed plasmid. Again, it seems simple, but it's extremely useful to people who haven't reached that stage yet. This one is a great example. This is one of my favourite articles on Bitesize, and I'll zoom it in a little bit so you can see. It's this long. That's it. And it's a really great tip about using a syringe needle to rescue a PCR that has multiple bands in it. Basically, you use the syringe needle to stab the band, use a hypodermic needle to stab the band and then re-PCR out that band. And it's a really very neat tip and a really nice example of how a sort of tip that's appropriate in this medium, but it's not really appropriate in many other media. You wouldn't publish this in a journal, for example. Well, maybe you would. But this is a neater way to deliver it than in a journal because it's just delivered straight to people who are looking for tips like this. This one's quite a nice one because it pulls together a few different papers and explains the sort of, it's looking at growth medium for bacteria, and it explains the pros and cons of different growth media. Again, it's pulling out something from the literature and simplifying it so that it's easily digestible by, in a 5-minute coffee break. And another one by Jode Plank here, who went on to get a job in publishing from here. He's talking about something that you don't really, it's not really discussed anywhere. If it is, it's hard to find. It's what can you autoclave together? And it's one of those things that kind of floats around the lab and, but it's not really documented in places that are very easy to find. Again, this is a good thing to go to live here on Bitesize and be useful for people. If you think that you can contribute something like this, and I'm sure you can, the first step is to simply write an article. And the first step in that is to use that link that Laura has put there in the chat box to access our writer's manual and get kind of orientated in what we're looking for, orientated a bit more, and then just submit something to us. You can submit it, I've put my address here just for simplicity. You can submit it to me and then I'll forward it on to the editorial team who will take you under their wing and help you through it. Likewise, if you have any questions, you can forward them to myself or to Laura. Laura is our editorial manager, so it's laura@bitesizebio.com, and we will be happy to help to guide you through to the submission of your first article. And once you're in with your first article, then that whole process starts rolling and we all see where we want to go here. So I hope that gave you some idea of what it would be like to write for Bitesize and whether you might want to do it. If you want to take any questions, then please fire away.
Thanks, Nick. That was a really great discussion and showing exactly what people can get out of Bitesize Bio. We do have questions from the audience already. So the first one is, I'm very interested in transitioning into bioscience industry, and one of the positions I like the most is field application scientist. Do you think contributing as a blogger in Bitesize Bio would help my resume?
I think the way to look at that is that there isn't really much way it could hurt your resume. Anything that you do like this is it's a demonstration of the energy and commitment that you can bring to things, but also the articles that you have up there are a demonstration of your knowledge and your writing abilities. And so you can use that as kind of like as I've done in the past, is use it as kind of like a writing portfolio to demonstrate what you can do. And with the extreme upside that we will help you to make sure those articles are as polished as they can be before they get anywhere near the website.
A few people have asked about whether or not this webinar will be available to view later. All the webinars that we produce are available on our website, and I've just posted a link into the chat box where you can access these webinars, and they're normally available 24 hours after they first go live. So please feel free to view it again at your leisure, and also to share it out with other people. If you do have any other questions, please pop them in the questions box and we'll put them to Nick now. But Nick, what's the biggest thing that you find with writers? What's the main thing that you think that people struggle with when they first write for Bitesize Bio?
The main thing is to identify the nugget that you want to share. That's the main thing. If you can get that, then we can help you no matter what. And so it's really important that's why we put those prompt questions. There are a list of prompt questions in the writer's guide that kind of take you through different scenarios, what happens, or like go back 5 years in the lab and think about what you would tell yourself now if you could go and visit yourself in the lab. What would you tell yourself? Those sort of exercises to get you to think about how you can help people that are further down the learning curve than you. I think once you identify what it is that you have to share, and everyone has much more to share than they think, then you're halfway there. And the other aspect to that is really, I can't stress enough, do not think you have to be some sort of expert to present. A lot of people that I've talked to personally about writing, and they say, well, I'm not an expert, I don't know, but everyone's an expert. Being an expert only means you know more than most people about a very specific thing. And even if it's only a very specific thing, something that you've found out in the lab for yourself or something that you've found very useful, then you are by definition the expert there, and you're more than qualified to share and help people. Whatever level person it needs to find within the community, it will find them.
And as a writer, if I start writing for Bitesize Bio, do I have a commitment to the number of articles that I need to submit, or is there also a limit on how many articles I can submit?
Yes and no. So as a casual contributor, there's no commitment. You can contribute whenever you like. We generally don't accept more than one article per month per author so that it stays varied. You're not committed as casual author, as the name suggests, but as a staff writer, then we ask you to commit to a certain, I think it's normally one per month or something like that. That depends on personal circumstances as well. What we're looking to do is just have a group of people who are making a regular contribution, and those are our staff writers.
If there's no more questions from the audience, and Nick, if you've got no more points to add to that, I think that brings us to the end of the webinar. Thank you for giving such a wonderful presentation and a good introduction to how Bitesize Bio works and how people can get involved. And thanks to the audience for taking the time to attend and listen. As I said before, if you've enjoyed this and you'd like to view it again, please visit the webinar page on bitesizebio.com, and this all should be available in the next 24 hours. And as Nick said, if you've got any questions or want to submit an article, please email him or myself. I'll just type my email address into the chat box for you there. We also have lots of other webinars. This is just the second week of our webinar series, so please log on and have a look at the other webinars that we have. They're very varied, ranging from techniques in microscopy and flow cytometry to tips on how to write a great paper. So just have a look on the Bitesize Bio website for that. Thanks again. So until next time, good luck in your research, and goodbye from all of us at Bitesize Bio.